Hey, want to skip those ads and get early access and bonus episodes of all Banana for Scale shows? Hop on over to truestory.fm/join and discover all the cool perks that come with being a member of the Banana for Scale family. Coming up on The Devil's Details, Letters from the Earth by Mark Twain, Letters 1 and 2. Earth? I give it 2 stars. Good morning, Star, and welcome to another episode of The Devil's Details, a show where we dig up, decipher, dissect, and deconstruct the many forms of the devil. One of my names is Lester Ryan Clark.
And I sometimes go by Keenan Diaz.
And we're just two lost souls hitchhiking down the highway to hell. And this is the second half of our Mark Twain season, and we are covering another unpublished work with a whole backstory to it. This is Letters from the Earth. And before we get into the text itself, I want to talk about how this book came to exist, because it is... Did I say unpublished?
Uh-huh.
God damn it. Okay.
Oh,
okay. Well, wait, is it unpublished or is it unfinished? It's not.
It's published posthumously, I guess. It's
okay, that's funny. I'll say that.
Okay.
Okay. And welcome back. This is the second half of our Mark Twain season, and we are covering the posthumously published. It was published posthumously.
Yeah, it's fun. It's got that alliteration.
Yeah.
It means you're dead. You're dead.
Yes.
We put your stuff in a book.
These are literally dead letters. But no, this work was published after Twain's death, and it is called Letters from the Earth. And it is published. You can get it in book form, PDF form, Kindle form. I almost said Tinder form. Audiobook form, all of those. But before we get into the text itself, I want to talk about how this book came to exist, because it is a very different story from what we dealt with in the first half of our season with The Mysterious Stranger, a.k.a. The Chronicle of Young Satan, a.k.a. Schoolhouse Hill, a.k.a. number 44, The Mysterious Stranger, a.k.a.
My Life in Asstown.
My life in, Satan Goes to Booty Town, a.k.a. One Day Adolf to the Moon. No. But yeah, like that story, this one also is very revealing about what happens to a writer's work after he dies. So with The Mysterious Stranger, a.k.a. etc., etc., the problem was forgery. Remember, Albert Bigelow Paine and Frederick Denica took 3 incompatible, unfinished manuscripts. They stitched them together. They wrote their own connective tissue. They invented a character. Remember the astrologer, right? They bolted on the ending from number 44, and they published the result as Mark Twain's finished novel, right? It was a complete fraud, right? And it fooled the world for about 50 years, right? Now, Letters from the Earth is the opposite problem. Nobody forged anything. Instead, this book was simply locked in a drawer for half a century because the people in charge of Twain's legacy decided the public shouldn't see it. Twain wrote this in 1909, and that is the last full year of his life. He died in April of 1910. He was in his 70s. He had already buried his wife, Livy, and he had buried his 2 daughters. And he was writing with absolutely nothing left to lose, no intention of publishing this even. This is late Twain, completely different from the person who wrote Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn. Right? And what he produced is a series of letters written by Satan, who has been exiled from heaven and is visiting Earth, sending back reports to the archangels Michael and Gabriel about what he's found there. He's essentially like an anthropologist studying the human race and their religion, and he reports back with this mixture of astonishment, contempt, and something like pity, I guess.
Okay. Well, I'm only reading, along with you all every week because I haven't read this before, and so far in the first 2 letters, it's mostly just the sarcasm part of it. So I haven't seen the pity part yet. So I'm looking forward to it. It's mostly him writing really bitchy Yelp reviews.
Yes. This is get ready for salty Satan, folks. This is the sodium content. We should put a warning at the top of this thing. But yeah, also Paine. Albert Bigelow Paine, what are you doing here again? Right? We know him very well from the first part of the season, right? He was Twain's literary executor and the guardian of his papers until he died in 1937. And Paine had a very clear sense of his job, which was to protect and manage the public image of Mark Twain as America's beloved humorist. And I guess thinking about it in that way and going back and thinking about how he added the astrologer, and took some of the other stuff out from Chronicles of Young Satan, makes a little bit more sense. But that ultimately ended in a big fat fraud. So
yeah, but Twain didn't know that at the time because he was dead.
Yes.
So yeah, he trusted Paine a lot with this, and I guess Paine and anybody around his life considered this a little bit too spicy for the day. Yes.
Yeah.
Can I read to you something that Twain wrote about this?
About
Letters from the Earth? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I have, in addition to the marktwainproject.org that we're using, I have the Bible According to Mark Twain, which is a collection that is edited by Howard G. Bagsholt and Joseph B. McCullough.
Joseph B. McCullough?
Yeah, what is he doing here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually.
Yeah, how do you know Joseph B. McCullough?
He was my professor in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, I studied, he was my Bible as literature professor, and also my my Mark Twain professor. Yeah,
that was one of those popular classes at UNLV when we were students. I didn't ever get to take McCullough though, but everyone always said, if you take anything in English, go take something from McCullough. He's the best.
Yes, he absolutely is.
Yeah, so he's editing this collection, that the last of which is Letters from the Earth. And so in the introduction to that section, he has found a letter from Twain written in 1909 to his friend Elizabeth Wallace. So this is his telling her, hey, what he's been up to writing this. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit because this includes little asides and mistakes that Twain is writing in his handwritten letter from 1909. Yeah. So, Dear Betsy, I've been writing Letters from the Earth, and if you will come here and see us, I will. What? Put the manuscript in your hands with the places skip marked? No, I won't trust you quite that far. I'll read passages to you. The book will never be published. In fact, it couldn't be, because it would be a felony to soil the mails with it. For there's much holy scripture in it, the kind that can't properly be read aloud except from the pulpit in family worship. Paine enjoys it, but Paine is going to be damned one of these days, I suppose.
I like that. I'm sorry to interrupt. I like that you and I, Keenan, have this drama with Paine.
Paine, yeah.
and just to hear Twain talking about Paine, like, of course, yes, like he's his executor, of course.
Right.
He knows him better than we do.
Exactly. So he's saying that, I think, is like, a buddy of Paine's and saying that nice, but yeah, it's funny to read that. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. So he wasn't really sure if it would ever be published because of these very issues that Paine and then other people, as we'll see, were concerned about. Like, geez, is this really what we should be saying Mark Twain wrote,
Right.
And publishing it. So he seems to be well aware of that.
Yes. Yeah. And actually, Paine isn't the person who ultimately kept this book buried. That was Clara Clemens.
Some villain of his life, probably. This Clara Clemens who comes and censors him.
No, that was Twain's daughter.
Oh, Clemens, Samuel Clemens.
Right,
yes,
Clemens,
yes.
Right, yeah.
Yes, I'm surprised to hear that. I was being facetious about who this was.
But yes, Clara was the only one of his children to outlive him. Which, I had to read that twice. I was like, wait, oh, God. That's so fucking sad. Like, of course he wrote Letters from the Earth.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, but Clara thought that it was, not part of the package, the brand that Twain had at that point. So
right. Yeah. So after Paine's death, Bernard DeVoto took over the Mark Twain papers, and DeVoto was actually he's the one who helped expose the mysterious stranger fraud. I don't know if we mentioned him by name last time, but yeah, he was the reason. He's the reason we know that the published mysterious stranger is not Twain's, like, altogether Twain's work.
I see.
Yeah, So DeVoto went into the archive. He found this material, the Letters from the Earth. He recognized immediately what it was, and he assembled it for publication in 1939. And that is where Clara said no. So she believed that the book would damage her father's reputation, and she had the legal authority to block it, and she used it. So Letters from the Earth sat unpublished. And then DeVoto died in 1955 without ever seeing it in print. It wasn't until 1962, more than 50 years after Twain wrote it, and 23 years after DeVoto prepared it, that Clara finally relented and allowed it to be published. So the version you can buy today, the version that is also on audiobook, is essentially DeVoto's 1939 edition, published posthumously for both the author and the editor.
Right. I'm seeing this New York Times article from 1962, and it kind of talks about a little bit about why Clara might have changed her mind there. So in 1939, when they tried to do it, she was very much opposed to it. And now in 62, she tells the New York Times, Mark Twain belonged to the world at this point. That it was just very different. And she's also 88 years old at that point. And so just her ideas had changed. But even in this 1962 article, the author of this New York Times piece describes it as a series of highly inflammatory anti-religious essays.
Wow.
And again, I've only read the beginning of this so far. Like, I'm going to just read episode by episode. But yeah, so even in the 60s, those go-go 60s, we're putting a man on the moon. But yeah, this qualifies as anti-religious inflammatory essays.
Yeah, as recent as 1962, like you would think, But then, I mean, just a little bit down the road, we're going to have The Exorcist in 73, and then we're going to have the Satanic Panic. So I guess it is no surprise that like even with the hippies and Woodstock and everything like that, like there is a little bit of like, hey, you can't be making fun of God in this way, or
right. And this article says that it kind of is implying that part of this is political, like the reason that they finally decided to publish this. It says Mark Twain is a literary hero in the Soviet Union, and Soviet literary critics are talking about this as American censorship. So even though this was the estate saying, hey, you can't put this out because of what it says, in Soviet literary critics circles, they were like, look what America does. America censors anti-religious, or like, different thoughts about religion.
In Soviet literary circles.
That's right. Essays inflame you.
But no, that is really interesting because like that is I mean, back then that was our point of pride. It's like we have free speech. We are not controlled like the Soviets. We can say, and Twain's voice is more unchained in Soviet Russia, and he's regarded and referred to as a literary hero, and he's more suppressed in the United States. Wow.
Right. Yeah. America's favorite author, and you can't read it in America. You have to come to Soviet Russia.
You foolish Americans.
Right. But there you go. That's religion for you, folks.
These are our demands. Publish Letters from the Earth. Wow. Oh, that is fascinating. Thank you, Keenan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So we want to be clear that you don't have to worry about the version that you buy or the version that you get online. You can get it like if you already have like an Audible account or whatever. Like it's all going to be the same thing. Actually, the most different thing we said we got to talk about this, Keenan, is the website that we've been using, the marktwainproject.org, has. It's just formatted kind of weird on the website. It is still the same, but it's just like the page. There's like page breaks or something that's kind of confused. How would you describe it, Keenan?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. So it took us a little bit to just sort of compare and contrast this because it just reads really strangely on the website, mostly because of like page breaks and stuff like that. That makes it a little bit clearer when we're going out of one letter into another letter. But yeah, they are the same text as far as I could see.
Yes. And also, be assured, unlike The Mysterious Stranger, this is authentic Twain. Nobody wrote new material. Nobody invented an ending, right? All the words are his.
Woo.
However, the book as an object is still an editorial construction, right? The title piece, Letters from the Earth, is only one section of the volume. Devoto assembled the rest of the book from various unpublished pieces in the archive. So when you pick up a copy of Letters from the Earth, you're basically holding a curated collection that Twain never assembled, but and never titled, right? So that's what you got in your hands, or what you got like on your phone, right? But the point is, right? All of that to say, I find it really, really interesting that both texts that we've covered so far in this season had been kept from readers for a time, right? One by falsification, right? And then one by suppression, right? And in both cases, what these people were protecting or thought they were protecting was Twain's image. But I mean, like, of all people you want to like get the raw, unfiltered version of, I think like Twain is like the perfect icon for that.
That's really interesting because and then also reading these two pieces, this version of Twain, even more than the earlier stuff, the fun stuff, as serious as Huckleberry Finn can be, right? Like this one is about this false piety that people have, and like who cares about how men protect their image, like the hypocrisy of men to protect their image when and like say that they are reaching higher truths and that kind of thing. So now that you mention it, right? If anybody, Twain, but then if any version of Twain, certainly these last two versions of Twain. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, okay, let's get into it. So we had said in the last episode that we were going to cover kind of like the beginning all the way through the second letter. So the beginning and then letters 1 and 2, right? So let's get into it. So we open in heaven with the Creator on his throne, deep in thought, right? He is huge. He is mountainous. Twain makes sure to show us that, like to mention how big he is. I'm thinking of Milton again, talking about how big Satan was in hell, right? But again, there's no bananas in hell for scale. There's also no bananas in heaven. So
so what do we use for scale? We use
the angels, the archangels, who Twain says are also huge. They're like titans, but they're only up to God's ankle. Right? So again, we're measuring one big thing with another with three other big things. They're all super, super big.
Right.
But no bananas.
Bananas have not been invented yet.
Right. Yeah. And that's actually what this part is about right here. Right. But yeah. So God announces that He has finished thinking. He's like, I've had a thought. Right. Is what He says. And He lifts His hand, and 1,000,000 suns come pouring out of it, hurling into the dark, shrinking as they go until they are just points of light studding the roof of the universe. And after this kind of like, Big Bang. I see what you did there, Twain. Right. After this, the council sort of breaks up, right? And we are now so this is grand council, but we don't see any counseling. It's just like, again, I think it's sarcasm from Twain right at the beginning. Like, this is God's great council, but he just says, "I've thought and I do." Like, I haven't actually like asked you anything. Right. Nobody's having any meetings or delegating. Right. Or,
It's just their job to sort of be there, and then he tyrannically makes the decision he's going to make anyways.
And he even says at one point, like, he uses the word exhibition at like God does the second time that they all come together for a quote unquote council, right? But yeah, here is where we meet our three archangels. Where they've retreated somewhere private to talk everything over, and nobody wants to speak first. Everybody's desperate to discuss what just happened, but nobody wants to venture an opinion before knowing where the others stand. This is very very. So we're humanizing these angels,
right?
Right. So they make small talk about nothing until one of them, named Satan.
Satan?
What are you doing in heaven? Right?
Not Lucifer. Satan.
No,
yeah.
not yet. This. Okay. All right. I'm glad you caught that as well. That's weird, but okay, whatever. I'm fine with it. We're just gonna go with it, right? Yeah. But yeah, Satan finally decides that someone has to start, and so he does. And he proposes that we drop the pretense, right? Let's just talk about the thing, right? And then the two other archangels, Gabriel and Michael, what are y'all doing here? Right? They're relieved. They've wanted to talk about this as well, right? So in this universe, in the world of this story, Satan, Gabriel, and Michael, the archangels, are friends up in heaven. They're the three archangels.
Right. Co-workers,
right? Co-workers, yeah, right?
And they all have ideas about God, but aren't always allowed to talk about them because he's their boss.
Yes, and so they've retreated to a private corner of heaven. I don't know how that's possible, but whatever. And they're kind of discussing it, right?
Right.
And then Satan lays out where they stand. They have seen something remarkable, right? That's not in question, right? It's like they all agree that it was amazing, right? But its value isn't what they want to talk about. They can hold opinions, but they don't get a vote. He also slips in a small little dry preference. He says he rather liked space the way it was, cold and dark, but restful, a nice break from heaven's exhausting splendors, right? I never thought about it that way. It's like, chaos being, or the darkness of space being kind of like a relief from heaven's, busyness.
Yes, I think that's interesting, but I think also we get a hint that he is lying about liking space because we're going to find out his relationship to space a little bit later.
Yeah, right. But the real marvel, he says, isn't the suns or the moons or the stars or whatever. It's the system running them. And this is what Twain calls it. He says automatic law. Right? Self-regulating, needing no supervision or correction for all eternity. Vast bodies racing forever without collision, without drifting off schedule by a fraction of a second across millennia. The Creator has named it natural law, capital N, capital L, and declared it identical with the law of God. And Gabriel mentions that animals are coming and will fall under the same law. Before we get into it, this is the first little taste we get of not just Twain's view of how science can be explained by God, but maybe the explanation of the time. You know what I'm talking about? Like when we get into C.S. Lewis with the screw tape letters and everything like that, I notice there is a time in the talking about of all of this where people really, really try to mash together the law of God and the will of God with like reason and logic and the law of nature and everything like that. It's like, oh yeah, they're all the same, right?
Right.
Gravity is the law of God, right? It's not just the law of physics is the law of God and da 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 da. And it reminded me of, back when we were talking about Milton, and there were no scientists, there were natural philosophers, and he was trying to explain, the moving of the spheres and the firmament and digestion and their understanding of physics back then. And even as and then we move far, far, far into the future, and we're, in Twain's time, and even now, and then, later on in C.S. Lewis's time, we're still trying to say, oh yes, everything that we discover and name and label, such as reason and logic and debate and the law of physics and mathematics and the law of nature and everything like that, that's also God too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Every new thing that we discover, no, it doesn't refute anything. It just answers the question that we already had the answer to, that this is God doing this. And, and those are, to your point, those are people who are serious scientists, and they're still doing it that way, right? They're still trying to answer that. I think we have some of Darwin's diaries and letters, to people where he's really shaken by the inability of him to square what he has discovered with his faith, and really actually no, this doesn't work. So you can imagine where other scientists might be okay, well, I can't even approach this without seeing how it works on a cosmological scale.
Yeah. And I'm only bringing this up, folks, because Twain's Satan is so enamored by this natural law that God has invented in this story, but also because compare that to today, where science and logic and religion live more in separate camps than before. Would you agree, Keenan?
Yeah, and the scientists that you hear who are still are faithful even today, they often, the way that they sort of reconcile those things together is to say, often, not everybody, right, is to say there are two spheres of approaching truth. They are they're both valid, but they are doing two entirely different angles to try to find the truth of things.
Yeah. I feel like today you would be well, how could an ark possibly hold two of every animal? And you would just be well, that's science and that's religion. That's, it's we don't mix those, right? That's your faith, right? And you can be a scientist with faith, and you kind of shrug your shoulders and be well, nah, we're not even going to go into that, right? Or maybe it was a part of the mythology, and maybe it didn't happen, and that's how you square the circle, and you still have faith, but you say that part of the Bible was it took some liberties or exaggerations or something like that. Versus if you go back a little bit, you have people trying to explain it scientifically, right? Yeah. And where Twain sits is really, really interesting, just from the mouth of Satan, talking about because this Satan isn't saying, oh, did you guys see that? Did you guys see he just made starbursts and planets and they're revolving around each other, and it's how does that work? He is naming a specific thing that scientists of Twain's time name, natural law, right? The law of the bodies of the sky and all that stuff, right? Right. And then Gabriel mentions oh yeah, God mentioned animals as well. And Satan's yes, I've been meaning to ask you about that. What is animals? But yeah, he had heard that part, but he didn't follow it. Yeah, it's what is an animal? And Gabriel says none of them can possibly know. It's a brand new word, right? I love Twain. Yeah, I love Twain playing with this. It's we don't even know what animals are, right?
But we know it's important, and we because this is our boss who has done this without our counsel, we have to all agree that we like animals, right? Everybody, we love animals.
Yes,
we're very interested in them. What are animals?
Yes, and God will make it, so it will be good. What are they?
What
right?
are they?
So then Twain jumps 3 centuries of heaven time, which is 100 million years down here, apparently, right? And a messenger arrives to invite the angels, or the archangels, to come watch animals being made, right? So 3 centuries of heaven time, 100 million years down here.
Right.
Right. So they come and they are baffled enough that the creator notices and offers to take questions. Again, this is another council/exhibition, right? And Satan asks what the animals are for, right? And he's told that they're an experiment in morals and conduct. And he says, and God says, observe and be instructed, right?
So it is what you're talking about, the marriage of faith and science, and putting creation as a scientific experiment by God, by the creator.
Yes, right, this grand experiment, right? So they observe thousands of creatures, all extremely busy, mostly at tormenting each other and killing each other. And Satan examines one through a microscope. Yes, Twain uses the word microscope in his text, right? And Satan reports that a large beast is killing weaker ones, right? And God says, yes, that's the tiger. Right? Ferocity is his nature, and his nature is God's law, and he cannot disobey it. And Satan's so he hasn't committed any offense by doing this. And God's no, the tiger is perfectly blameless, right? This is the beginning of that thing I mentioned in the first half of our season when young nephew Satan was talking about the moral sense. Right.
Right.
This is kind of an echo of that. Right.
Right. This is natural law.
So then Satan points out a much more timid creature that dies without fighting back, and God's like, yes, that's the rabbit, right? And cowardice is his nature, and it is also God's law. It's also compulsory. He cannot disobey God's law / his nature, right? And again, Satan's like, okay, so then the rabbit is blameless, right? Like he is not expected to like honorably resist or die fighting, right? And God says, nope, the creature cannot be required to act against his own nature.
That's a little bit like, no, obviously Asimov is a little bit later, but Asimov's rules of robotics, the first is that the robot can never harm a person. And then after that, it says a robot can't allow himself to be harmed either. Like, so it's the robot's responsibility to not let himself be hurt. Right. Which makes sense because you don't want to waste your money on robots that are just going to like get pushed into the street, right? So yeah, Satan is like, hey, you just made that thing and we like that thing, right? And it just sat there and let itself be eaten. Should we punish it? Like, what should we do about that, right? Like he's going against you. He's trying to find people who are, pissing off God, and God likes it all.
Yeah, and God's like, nope, that's its function. That's I made it exactly. It's doing exactly what it's meant to do. Right.
I made a robot that encourages people to push it into traffic and destroy itself.
Yes. All right. And so, yeah, after lots more questions, Satan sort of like summarizes as he's talking to God. He says, well, God, Lord, the spider eats the fly, the bird eats the spider, the wild cat takes the goose, right? Like everything kills everything. Multitudes of creatures, like every one of them is a murderer, right? And none of them are to blame. And God says, yes, correct, right? It is their nature, and nature is God's law, right? And that's the thing, like, I think that's the C.S. Lewis thing, is like nature, the law of all science is also the law of God, right? Yeah. And then God introduces his masterpiece, man. So humanity arrives in swarms and droves and millions, very different from the Adam and Eve thing, right? It's like already they just kind of like, almost like bacterium. And what will be, and he talks about what will be done with them. The Creator describes the design. Every moral quality that was parceled out among the animals one at a time is going into every human being simultaneously, right? So courage and cowardice, mercy and cruelty, honor and baseness, love and hate, truth and falsehood, the whole contradictory inventory. And where the good qualities dominate, those men will be called good. And where the bad dominate, those men will be called bad men. Every animal has just been declared blameless for obeying its nature, and man is being assembled out of all of those natures at once. Right?
So every person has, it's not quite using this. I wonder if it's going to come up. This is the idea of free will, right? Like everybody will have the capabilities of being like a rabbit or being like a spider or being like a fish. And each person will be good or bad based on what they do with that.
Right.
And at that point, it's like not me, God, making them that way because they're not rabbits, they're man.
Right. A man killing another man is different from a tiger killing a rabbit. Right. But yeah, the humans are then sent off to Earth, which the Creator describes as a small globe he made a while back. Right. And he's like, oh, you saw it, but you kind of missed it among all the other like worlds spraying from my hand when I did the Big Bang. Right.
Yeah, you didn't notice it, I guess. Yeah. Because he's already calling it Earth, and they're like, okay, all right, you didn't mention this before. Like, what's Earth? Yeah. He's like, oh, that. Oh, yes.
We see what you're doing, God. It's like, oh, Earth. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Yeah.
Oh, of course, yes.
just a little globe that I made.
You know Earth. You saw it.
But yeah, he says time will tell if either Earth or man or the animals were worth the effort, right? And then the exhibition ends. That's Twain's word, exhibition, and the angels are dismissed, right?
Right. What is their job except to be there when he does his stuff, to like witness him? Yeah. And then to ask questions he doesn't appreciate the answers to, and just like, well, I'll tell you this, But like, it's never once is it, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's a good idea or a bad idea? So yeah, they're not really a council. They're called that by God, I guess.
Right. I'm wondering, is this Steve Jobs showing like a preview of what all of his workers are going to be working on in the future, right? Okay, it's like, hey, I made a thing. I want you to come see, right? Maybe Steve Jobs is a bad example, but like it's like here, like look at this. It's like, oh, like boss, like when I touch this thing, it does this thing. It's like, yep, okay, you're all dismissed, and it's like, oh, geez, what new version of the iPhone are we going to be working on? Like once this is all kind of like in its completion or experiment phase or whatever,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, from there, some days pass, heaven days, so like an enormous stretch of like years, right? And during this interval, Satan has been making quote unquote appreciative remarks about the creator's work, which read between the lines are actually sarcasms. He said them privately to trusted friends, but some ordinary angels overheard and reported him.
Yeah, I want to say it's like he's like, oh, I really like these raspberries. They're so red.
Yeah,
I really like how quickly they rot, or what have you.
Yeah,
and we're like, I know what this is.
I
invented sarcasm.
Yes, this is. I mean, like if there was, we talk about like the king of self-insert being Dante, right? But this, if we could give Twain a self-insert, I think this is this. This is him as the devil, kind of like making commentary on the creation of the universe, right? And this is the thing that gets him kicked out of heaven. I love that, right? We don't have the war in heaven where he's trying to take over God's throne and he's jealous of man being created. He's getting kicked out of heaven because he's Mark Twain, and he's kind of like making fun of he's satirizing God's creation, right?
Yeah, I don't know how aware Twain would have been about this, about again calling him Satan, as in the Satan of Job, whose job it is to question God.
Right.
And so I like that here. Like that's literally why he's there. He's there to be the what do we say, like the prosecuting attorney, and to be like, is this experiment worth your time? Like everything like that. And he's like, banish you to earth for that.
Yeah, basically like no pun intended or pun intended, like the devil's advocate, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. So when Twain is calling this character Satan in this text, as he's writing that name down, is he thinking of the Satan that Lucifer becomes, or the Satan of Job, who is always the Satan, lowercase l Satan? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because by this time, there's already two versions of that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But he has certainly read Milton, and Milton would have called him Lucifer, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, whichever it is, he's banished for a celestial day. Right? And this is a familiar punishment. He's been banished before. I love this little detail, is this Satan has gotten in trouble before, and he's been banished before, right? And by his too flexible tongue. And usually banishment means like the emptiness of space, right? So he's just kind of floating out there for a celestial day, which is supposed to be, oh gosh, I forgot to write it down. Isn't it like a couple thousand years or something like that?
Right.
Yeah, right. For one day, which is like like in our time, like a couple thousand years, right?
Right. So he hates going to space, but earlier in our story, he's been like, once non-space was created, once the universe was created, right? He's been like, oh, I really prefer space. Right? Because there's nothing going on in there.
I don't know, actually. Like I read it as like he's so used to getting sent out into the hall, he kind of likes it there, And he's like, yeah, it's fine. It's like.
But it's describing. Yeah, he had flapped tediously around in the eternal night and Arctic chill. But now he's like, oh, I don't know why. Yeah, cool. You created this stuff. I don't know why we needed that. Emptiness was pretty cool, I thought. But okay.
Yeah. But in any case, this time, this instance where he's banished, he's like, oh wait, Earth. Like I'll just go there, right?
Right.
Yeah, he decides to go find Earth instead and see how the human experiment is progressing, right? And this is kind of like the opening to this book is Letters from the Earth. He's writing back to Michael and Gabriel, right?
Yeah, it says by and by he wrote home. Dash very privately dash.
I like that. And there's that by and by again. There's our Twain. Yeah. But then we get to our first letter, right? And so now it's more. Oh, geez. So this is a mixture of like epistolary and narration. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. Are we going to be in letters the rest of the time? I guess.
I think actually. So maybe it's not a mixture. It's maybe just this one little opening is the outlier. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so this is our first letter, and Satan reports that the place that he is in, Earth, is strange and extraordinary and unlike anything at home, and that everything about it is insane. Right, the people are insane, the animals are insane, the planet and nature itself is insane. Right, man, he finds a genuine curiosity. At his best, Satan says, he's something like a cheap nickel-plated angel. I like that. At his worst, he's beyond description, and at all times, he amounts to a kind of joke. And he sincerely describes himself as the noblest work of God. He's been saying so throughout his entire history. He's always believed it, and in all that time, he has never found a single member of his own species who found it funny. So even in the first letter, Satan is observing that man has quite a high opinion of himself.
Yeah, and I guess Twain is in the first letter even getting pretty blasphemous, right? I mean, so is that not blasphemy to say like man is not God's noblest work? I think that's quite counter to most versions of the scripture, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but he's saying it in this like it's almost hidden the way he's putting it out. Yeah,
and it's the devil saying it, but
yes, all right. But he's like writing to Michael and Gabriel, who are in most versions good guys. So yeah. But yeah, Satan. He opens a lot of paragraphs by saying, "Okay, you're not going to believe this." Like it's like the next thing I'm about to say is going to test your credulity, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then he says, "Man believes himself to be the Creator's favorite. He believes God is proud of him, loves him, stays up nights admiring him and watching over him. He prays and assumes that he is heard. He stuffs his prayers with elaborate flattery and pictures God enjoying every single word." Right? He prays daily for help and protection, hopefully and confidently, and no prayer of his has ever been answered. The daily disappointment doesn't discourage him in the slightest. He simply keeps praying, and Satan concedes, almost admiringly, that there's something remarkable in that stupid persistence. All right? And then one last thing he notes in his first letter. He says, and this is some crazy shit, man thinks he is going to heaven. He has salaried teachers who tell him this, and who also inform him about a hell of everlasting fire waiting if he breaks the commandments, right? And Satan promises to explain the commandments later, right? Calling them also a curiosity. Okay, that last part of the first letter, what do we think of this? Like, if the first part wasn't blasphemous, it's like he thinks he's going to heaven.
Right.
Right? And then also just like the kind of like laughing off hell. He's like, oh yeah, they think there's a hell.
Hell, yeah. And then calling, I'm assuming he means priests. He says paid teachers. So
right,
essentially humans pay people to tell them that they're going to heaven.
Right. Yeah.
So of course they're going to tell you, is his point of view, right? Of course. You're putting them up in the rectory. Of course they're going to say just nice things to you. You're going to heaven.
Yeah. But this is, okay, now I can kind of see Clara being like, no, let's not have Twain fans like reading this part,
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, like that is kind of a big thing. Like, what do you think of this? So, okay, this establishes that there is no hell.
Right.
By Satan's sarcasm, there is no hell. So this Satan doesn't live in hell. He's not the devil. He's just Satan, an angel who's been banished to earth, and he's writing back, and he's like they think there's a hell, like and
just temporarily banished, even. Right.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. I could maybe think of some kind of I don't know where this story is going at all, but maybe man is right, and Satan doesn't really know because in the day he's been hanging around, in the celestial day, that maybe God made a hell or something. I don't know, but I think we are meant to take it here that man is completely delusional. None of this actually exists.
Right. I think we're supposed to trust Satan in this, in that like his laughter and derision of he thinks he's going to heaven, and he also thinks there's a hell. Right. So. One of those is very, very bad news for us, and one of those is kind of good news for us.
Right,
yeah, right. So it's a mixed bag. This first letter, right?
Yes, but maybe it would be good news that afterlife exists at all.
Yeah,
because otherwise it's just like you're just a rabbit who's getting eaten by a tiger, and they're both.
And then there's going to be oblivion, right?
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, and that's the end of the first letter.
Yeah, and it kind of implies, because it stops in the middle of a dash. It kind of implies that Satan continues on, and that we just don't hear the rest of the letter. And then our next letter it's labeled letter 4, and it's the idea that he wrote a second one and a third one, but maybe they weren't as interesting to Michael and Gabriel or something, and we're just jumping ahead. Like Satan only spends his day just writing letters and letters and letters, and we're not going to bore you with all of them.
I like that because it makes it seem more real. It's like found footage type thing where Twain is the curator, and he has found these letters, and he's like, we don't need to look at these letters. We'll just look at these ones, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But in the text, it's you say letter 4. I see some just calling it the second letter.
Do you?
Hang on. Yeah, both my audiobook and the PDF that I have call it the second letter.
Great. We thought we were over this kind
Wonderful.
of thing. Yeah, McCullough and the twainproject.org called it letter 4.
Oh,
cool.
Hang on.
But that's what I mean. They are the same text, though. They are the same thing.
Yes. Hang on, let me just look at this PDF. Yeah, in the PDF, it says letter 2.
Okay, great. We tried, everybody. We tried.
So, yeah, I guess this is a good place to say, let's follow the published versions rather than the marktwainproject.org. Even though maybe the marktwainproject.org is more accurate in its labeling, it's still the same text. We're still talking about like letter 4 is just called letter 2 in the publishers in the publications.
Right.
But yeah, we've established that all the published versions are unedited. They have all the letters, and the published versions call it letters 1, letters 2, letters 3, right? Except your McCullough version.
Yeah, that calls it 4.
Jesus Christ. Every time we think we're out, Keenan.
That's the devil. The devil doesn't want you to know this stuff.
Oh, God. Okay. All right. But they're all the same letters, so we're not skipping any letters.
No, we're not skipping any letters.
They're just called different things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there isn't a missing letters 2 and 3.
No.
Yeah. I mean, no. The next letter. Okay. This is the best way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
The next letter is the next letter.
All right. Good.
There we go. Okay. So let's talk about the next letter. Called in my version letter 2.
Mm-hmm.
Called in your version letter 4.
That's right.
To prankishly imply that there were other letters that we didn't see.
I believe so.
Yes. Okay. So Satan opens by insisting again that everything he has reported is true and apologizes for the repetition, but says he needs them to take him seriously, and he admits that if their positions were reversed, he'd need the same reassurance. So he's saying, I need you all to believe me. I wouldn't believe you if the shoe was on the other foot.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So he explains that nothing about man makes sense to an immortal. Right? His proportions are wrong. His values are so alien that even the most brilliant angel probably couldn't even fully grasp them. Right? Mm-hmm. His example, right, and this is the subject of this letter right here, is heaven. Man has invented one and left out the single greatest pleasure of his existence, one that angels share and rank just as highly. Satan compares it to man dying of thirst in the desert and being offered everything he wants and choosing to leave out water from heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Man's heaven, he says, resembles man himself. Strange, astonishing, grotesque. And his claim is that it contains nothing man actually values. It is built entirely from activities he has no interest in here on earth and is somehow confident he will enjoy up in heaven.
This is so smart.
I love it. I love it.
I have not heard this argument before from anybody.
No one has, like even modern, like
right.
You don't hear George Carlin talking about this.
Right, or Bill Maher. So yeah, this is such a clever observation, and I find it so true and insightful about heaven. Yes.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. All right. So then he gets into specifics, right?
Mm-hmm.
He says, most men don't sing, can't sing, and won't sit through more than a couple hours of it. Almost nobody plays an instrument or wants to learn. Mm-hmm. Plenty of people pray, but few enjoy it. A handful pray at length, and everyone else takes the shortest available route. I love that. Because you see people just like, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with you.
Well, yeah, why are you even doing it, right?
Like they're auctioneers, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Even in, like when we were reviewing The Exorcist, right? Like Dimmy, the priest, he's sitting down and he's saying grace, and he's like, blessed are the Lord, So yeah, right? And then Satan says, more men attend church than want to. The overwhelming majority find the Sabbath tedious. 2/3 of any congregation is tired by the halfway point and the rest by the end. And the happiest instant of the whole service is the benediction, when you can hear a soft rustle of relief go through the room. A sound Satan describes as eloquent with gratitude.
Right, yeah. Yeah, they hate it so much they only make themselves go on Sunday.
Yes.
They would never think about going twice a week. And they make it only an hour and 15 minutes so that it feels like it's not an hour. Mm-hmm. That's so funny.
And little child Lester is piping up. It's like, that is so true. Because like I remember going to church and I became very, very familiar with the rhythm and the cadence of the end of Mass, right? It's like peace be with you, and also with you, and also with you. Yes,
yes, it's Burger King time.
Yes, because that was our bribe to get to church. Was like Burger King was coming afterwards. That was the reward.
That's your version of heaven, yeah.
Yes, right.
It's manna.
But yeah, the next thing Satan notes, he says, nations look down on other nations and dislike them. White nations despise non-white nations and oppress them wherever they can. White men don't associate with black people, won't marry them, won't have them in their schools or their churches. The world.
Satan uses the N-word.
The other word, yes.
Because he's Satan.
Yeah, well, no.
That's why you say it.
I think it's Twain using it because that was Twain, right?
Oh, no. That's Satan getting his hands on things.
I mean, wow.
Right.
But he's like, and we have to specify, he's using not the worst N-word.
No, he is. He's using the N-word.
Really?
Unless your audiobooks clean that up.
Yeah, my audiobook did.
Your audiobook doesn't have the guts. You know?
Hang on.
No, he uses
the N-word. The other N-word. It's still bad, but hang on. Let's see. Oh, Jesus!
I'm looking at it.
Well. The audiobook is a little bit different.
All right, well, that's very nice of the audiobook to clean up Satan's words.
Yeah, okay, well. All right, well.
No, here in this text, it's in quotation marks like Satan has learned it from people.
Oh, you're right. Yes. Okay,
right.
So he's, oh God, this is like a 5-year-old repeating a curse.
Right.
Aha, okay.
Yes.
All right, interesting.
Like
Okay.
People have taught it already. People have taught Satan to be worse.
Uh-huh. Oh, yes, human beings have corrupted Satan. Okay. All right, there we go. I see what you're doing, Twain. All right. Yeah. So basically he's saying, white people won't associate with black people, won't marry them, won't have them in their schools or their churches. The entire world hates the Jew and tolerates him only when he is wealthy. Solomon Isaacs Twain, remember? Yeah. Satan asks Michael and Gabriel to note these particulars, right? He's like, pay attention to this, right? And then he adds a few more observations. He says, sane people hate noise. Everyone needs variety. Note that down. They tire of monotony, right? And every man, whatever his mental capacity, uses his intellect constantly and takes real satisfaction in exercising whatever skill he has, right? The boy who's best at games practices as devotedly as any artist or mathematician, right? And none of them could be happy if forbidden to use their own talent. Right? I remember Stephen King saying that. Like he talks about like everybody has like a natural talent, and it's like it's their version of heaven to it's always crying out to be used. Right? Yeah.
For a piano player to play the piano, or a farmer to farm, or whatever your true calling is.
Yeah. Or I think what Stephen King was like for a writer to write.
Right.
Yeah. Now Satan says. He says, you have the facts, you know what pleases this race and what doesn't. And now he drops it. He says, they invented a heaven entirely on their own, and guess what it's like, right? In 50 million ages, you couldn't guess, right? So I'm going to tell you, is what Satan says. First, remember, and then he goes back to sex.
As in, that's the thing that they all want to be doing all the time, right?
Yes, right. So earlier, Satan was talking about sexual intercourse as like the great pleasure of man's existence, right?
And the angels also have sex in this, so they understand this. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And so now he says, man ranks it above everything. The thought excites him. The opportunity makes him reckless. He'll gamble his life, his reputation, even his heaven. I love that. From youth through middle age, men and women alike value it above all other pleasures put together, right? And it isn't in their heaven at all. It is replaced with prayer. I love the way he writes it. It sounds like it is an equal replacement. You know what I mean? Like instead of not like oh, there just doesn't happen to be any sex, but there's a lot of prayer in heaven. He's like, instead of sex, they have prayer.
That's what they think heaven is. Yes.
And Satan goes on. He talks about he's like talking about how angels are able to like luxuriate in sex for like centuries. Right. Right. And he cannot understand how man's sexual experience is already like grossly reduced. Right. Compared to angels, and he still decides to leave it out of his created heaven. Yeah, so it says, for human sex at its very best, and long as the act is brief beyond imagination, the imagination of us immortals, we continue the act at its supremest ecstasy unbroken and without withdrawal for centuries. I think that's a pun. Yeah. So first weird thing about man's imagined heaven, no sex. No sex. Which is like the best thing in the world down in the world. Now, second, the singing. In man's heaven, everyone sings, including the men who couldn't. It isn't occasional or broken up by quiet. It runs 12 hours a day, every day, and nobody leaves. Though on earth, the room would clear out in 2 hours, Satan says. And it's only hymns. Actually, only one hymn with about a dozen words, no rhyme, no poetry. Yeah, it's the same hymn. It's just, and so there's no rhyme, there's no poetry. Hosanna, Hosanna, Lord God of Sabaoth, Ra, 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 Shu, Boom, Ah, Ah. And my audiobook says Ra, 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 Sis, Boom, Ah, Ah. Yeah, oh, that must be how you pronounce it, yes. Yeah. But it's like, that is, I mean, like, it's perfect. It's perfect. Right. Third point. The harps. Everyone is playing a harp, right? Millions of them, right? When almost none of them could play any instrument on earth or ever wanted to. Satan says, imagine the noise, right? Millions of voices shrieking simultaneously along millions of harps. He describes it as like gritting their teeth, right? Yeah, a deafening hurricane of sound of harps. So I think he's implying that everybody is playing and singing badly. Well, they hate harp music. Yeah. In heaven, so it must be to them like to imagine themselves in heaven where everyone's playing the harp. Why would they want that? Yeah. Even if it were nice, yeah. And yeah, Satan finishes, he's like, and what's this all for? It's a praise service, flattery and adulation endlessly. And who, he asks, would tolerate such a thing? Not merely tolerate it, but enjoy it, require it, demand it? Hold your breath, he says. It is God. And then he specifies, he says, this races God. So then he paints a picture. He says, picture this: God enthroned with his elders, with his 24 elders. We remember that from Revelation, right? And other court officials, right? Surveying miles of frantic worshipers, smiling and purring and nodding his satisfaction in every direction. Satan calls it as quaint and naive a spectacle as this universe has produced. Right? He adds that whoever invented this heaven didn't originate the concept. He borrowed it from the ceremonial displays of some minor provincial kingdoms somewhere in the East. I like that. So he's basically he's like they probably cobbled this together from like actual like court processions and official like days in court from like some other kingdom or something.
Yeah. And I guess this, even though this is a Satan who's viewing the entire earth, this is for an American audience, I suppose.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. And then he's like, back to the noise. So yes, sane people hate it, right? And have accepted this and have for some reason accepted this heaven anyway, right? Without thought or examination. And genuinely, they want to go there. Devout old men spend their time dreaming of the day that they'll lay down life's burden and enter into these joys, right? And then he says, you can tell how little they actually believe it because they make no preparation whatsoever. You never see one of them with a harp. You never hear one of them sing. So he's talking about, it's like, there's no old people like getting ready, like practicing with the harp.
Practice, right. Let's learn the choreography.
Yeah. He says this heaven amounts to so he's basically comparing man's idea of heaven to endless church service.
Right.
Basically, and he says on earth they can barely stand church, right? An hour and a quarter is the ceiling. Once a week is the ceiling, and even then they don't look forward to it. So their heaven offers them permanent church and a Sabbath that never stops. Yeah, they're bored by the weekly one and they long for the eternal one.
Right. That is again so perceptive and so true.
Yeah.
Why would anybody want that?
Yeah, they dream about it, they talk about it, and they think, I like this. They think they're going to enjoy it. I had to read that over, like I thought it was like a Twain typo, but no. And he says, with all their simple hearts, they think they'll be happy there, right? And then this is the cherry on top. Satan says they actually don't think at all. They only think they think. Hardly anyone has the equipment for it. And as for imagination, just look at their heaven. They accept it, approve it, admire it. That tells you their intellectual measure. And then, okay, fourth point, right? The equality. So remember, he had established, right? Every nation hates every other nation, right? He says, in their heaven, every nation on earth gets dumped in together with no rankings and no distinctions. Everyone has to be brothers, has to pray and sing and worship side by side, right? Meanwhile, every nation down here despises every other, and all of them despise the Jew, right, is what Twain says, right? And yet, the pious man adores this heaven and wants in, and in his rapturous moments, he thinks that once he arrives, he'll embrace the entire population.
Again, he means that literally they would take the populace to his heart and hug and hug and hug, exclamation point.
But yeah, man is a marvel, Satan says. He'd like to know who invented him.
Yeah, hopefully God doesn't read this letter.
Yeah. It was sent very privately. But yeah, next he brings back up the intellect, right? Every man enjoys exercising and showing off his intellect, right? And every man has some, right? In whatever quality, and takes pride in it, right? He glows at the names of his race's great minds and loves recounting their achievements, since he shares their blood and their glory reflects on him. Pointing to literature and inventions and scientific glories that they produced, and puts intellect above everything else in the world, right? And then he designs a heaven with no trace of intellect anywhere in it. Is it odd? Is it curious? Is it puzzling? Satan says, right? It is exactly as he said, right? However impossible it sounds.
Yeah. So he starts at the beginning and the end of the letter, like, seriously, guys, this is really what's going on. You're not going to believe this. I shit you not. Right? Yeah. That's when Raphael steps in and he asks about shit.
Yeah, right.
Did someone say shitting?
Yeah. Oh, Raphael from Milton. Okay.
Yes.
It took me a bit. Huh. But yes, basically, so this worshiper of intellect, right, who rewards it so lavishly here, has built a religion and a heaven that offer it no compliments, no distinctions, not a scrap. They never even mention it. And here, Satan names the pattern that he's been assembling, right? Man's heaven, he says, was designed on a perfectly definite plan to include, in exhaustive detail, everything a man... So basically he's saying that man's heaven is full of everything that man hates and nothing at all that he likes.
Right.
And he closes with a last flourish. He says, there is nothing in that heaven for the intellect to feed on. It would rot in a year, rot and stink. And he says it twice. He says, rot and stink, rot and stink. And at that point, become holy. Which is fortunate, since only the holy could endure the joys of that bedlam. Right? Bedlam meaning madhouse.
Right.
What do we... like... Now I can see Clara looking at this. It's like, okay. So a brain that has rotted and become stinky is holy. Like,
right.
Love it, love it.
I think this is really fun stuff. Like this is a lot of the stuff that we've seen from the Chronicle of Young Satan, but that's really bitter feeling sometimes. Like I was really impressed by how emotional and deep a lot of what Young Satan is saying there is. This is very funny.
Yes.
Yes. And again, these are some insights I've never seen anywhere else from anybody. And yeah, they do feel very modern. Like you were saying, like George Carlin, or you don't see anybody talking about that. Maybe because someone like George Carlin or Bill Maher doesn't know churchgoers as well as Twain does, right? I can see the hypocrisy from inside the house of the Lord.
Yeah, Twain is in a perfect position here. He's in that like center of the Venn diagram of like knowledgeable, and in a time where one is knowledgeable about scripture, the common man is, and then also like having that satirical point of view.
Yeah, this is really good stuff.
Yes. Originally, I had planned to say, like, okay, folks, like this. Let's be clear. This Satan is not the Satan from the Chronicle of Young Satan, right? I mean, obviously, because that is Satan's nephew, right? But then I wanted to go further and say, it's a completely different Satan. Even like this Satan wouldn't even be that Satan's uncle. But now I'm like, because it's like you would agree, like you just said, like. This is like a maturation of those observations, right?
Well, they're certainly, finished and funny. So this still feels like Twain, yeah.
Yeah, so I can almost see these Satans actually being related. Like this is the Uncle Satan to the Satan of the Chronicle of Young Satan.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if Twain was like actually building a universe like that, but it fits.
Right.
Yeah.
I keep seeing this Letters from the Earth being described as a series of essays. And then when I read it, I was like, well, no, this is a story. This is a character. These are in character. But I could see how...
That's like calling the Screw Tape Letters a series of essays. Like,
those are letters, I guess. Oh, they're letters. It's in the title. But like I could see how if you were to take this out of context and pull this out, it would be like, oh, I can't believe Twain believes this, right? But like this is Satan saying this.
The character of Satan writing back to the characters Michael and Gabriel.
Right. But yeah, I could see how this functions like a really insightful piece of social satire on its own. Just this one, letter, this one little chapter here. So I could see how people might, I don't know, misremember that or misunderstand that. But like, yeah, and it's a very clearly laid out argument the way that you took us through it.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited. To go through this with you, Keenan. How about you?
Oh, yeah, me too. This is very fun.
Yeah. Okay, and folks, moving forward, just to set the rhythm of this season, I think what we're going to be doing is we're just going to read one letter, unless it's really, really short. We're going to be reading like one letter at a time per week. And meaning the next letter, which my copy says letter 3, your copy says...
Letter 5.
Letter 5. Jesus Christ. That's what we're going to be reading. And whatever it's called, it starts with this sentence. You have noticed that the human being is a curiosity. In times past, he has had, and worn out and flung away, hundreds and hundreds of religions. Today, he has hundreds and hundreds of religions, and launches not fewer than 3 new ones every year. I could enlarge that number and still be within the facts. So that's the first paragraph of the next letter. And that's the one we're going to be reading next week.
Great.
So folks, I'm really excited about this. Having not finished this, it seems really, really fun. So yeah, if you're reading along, then read that next letter. Again, letter 3 in most publications, and letter 5 in all of Keenan's publications.
I didn't do it.
The devil did it. McCullough did it. But for now, folks, this has been another episode of The Devil's Details. I've been Lester Ryan Clark. You can summon me on all the socials as Lester Ryan Clark.
And I've been Keenan Diaz, and you can invoke me on Instagram and Letterboxd as Howdy Keenan.
Yeah, find more of our shows and other really cool podcasts at truestory.fm, or feel free to drop us a message at bananaforscalemail@gmail.com. We got our Facebook listener group, Banana for Scale. That's community for all of our shows, including this one. It's a private group, but just request to join and we'll let you into the Infernal family. If you want more, consider joining us at truestory.fm/join and look for Banana for Scale. That's us. You get bonus episodes of all our shows, access to our Discord, and you get your episodes a week early and ad-free. Pretty cool. Just $5. Wouldst thou like to live deliciously? We're not even asking for your souls. Just give us a 5-pentagram rating on iTunes or Spotify or wherever you listen to our show. That and sharing the show by word of mouth or on social media is going to help our little podcast grow and find more cool people like you. All right, folks, until next week, love and hisses. Mwah.